Hey guys, it's Jouelzy and it is Smart Brown Girl Thursday. Word to all my smart brown girls, you should definitely follow me on Twitter where every Thursday you should do a pseudo 15-minute tweet chat about whatever topic it is that I am discussing that Thursday, typically prior to posting the video. Also, I have an Ask FM page where you can anonymously ask me questions, and again, it's another reason why to follow me on Twitter. All the questions that I answer will get tweeted out onto my timeline, so all the links will be down below, also with the info of my hair and lipstick, because I know somebody is going to ask. Also, I have a P.O. box. I've gotten a few emails asking where people can send me letters and stuff. I've mentioned this in other videos. Thus far, all I've gotten is hair product. People are asking me to review. It ain't happening. But if you want to send me something, my P.O. box is also listed down in the description box of every video. One of my more popular Smart Brown Girl videos is Loneliness and the Strong Black Woman. And because in the video I did mention that I have myself, I'm clinically diagnosed with anxiety disorder, and I have dealt with kind of slight depression. How do I cope? How do I deal? And what is some advice and tips that I can give out? Now, I want to be very, very cautious because this is a very sensitive subject and I am not a medical professional. So please remember that I am speaking from personal experience. Everyone is not the same, and it's part of the reason why it's taken me so long, because I just want to be sure that in doing this video that I'm just encouraging people to do what's best for them and their mental and physical health. I think one of the biggest things that you can do for yourself is be honest with what you're going through. I think a lot of times, especially in the Black community, because mental health is not as talked about as it should be. For the longest time, it was looked at as kind of like a disease of privilege that only wealthy, white, suburban house mothers go through. And there's this negative connotation around what it means to really deal with depression and anxiety. And at the end of the day, no one's suffering with you. You're the one that's going through these things. So I don't believe in allowing other people to shame or guilt you or make you feel bad about whatever mental health issues you are going through. People have wanted to accuse me of being bipolar or not being on my medications or whatever post doing that loneliness video. And I think for those people, it really it just begets their own stupidity and ignorance. That video, it was hard for me to put it out there. It is a bit more of me being vulnerable and open about things that I've gone through. But I think the response and how that helps other people is way greater than someone trying to take a dig at me. Anxiety is usually the feeling of fear, unease, and worry to the point where it becomes overwhelming and stifling to one being able to move on or do day-to-day routine things. Now, depression is more of the overwhelming feeling of sadness and not being able to kind of pick oneself up from anything. Now, with anxiety, with me, I do have anxiety attacks. Anxiety physically impacts me. It usually feels like a rush of a shortness of breath. My chest becomes really tight and compressed, and I just I can't stand up, I can't move, and it's a very kind of overwhelming sense of worry. Sometimes it is something that it's triggered by something. I don't deal with getting my feelings hurt very well, especially when it's by a man. So when a young man comes over to my house, makes me spaghetti, cuddles, and then tells me he has a girlfriend in another country, yes, that will lead to an anxiety attack. Sometimes there's been times where I've had anxiety attacks and I can't really pinpoint why it is. And I think when that happens, that usually is just coming from a place of not dealing with my emotions. I kind of put something else on the back burner, and there's these emotions kind of bubbling underneath that I just never really dealt with. And then, the anxiety attack might come 3, 6 months to a year later. I've been really big and vocal about dealing with one's emotions and emotional maturity. Now, that's not to say that someone is emotionally immature because they deal with anxiety or depression. That doesn't mean that I'm ever going to stop worrying or stop overanalyzing or never have moments of anxiety again. But I'm very aware of making sure that I deal with my emotions in the way that I need to deal with them, because I know that I am prone to anxiety attacks. I just want to encourage people to not be scared to talk about how they're feeling. One, talking about it allows yourself to be honest with what you're going through. Talking about it also will help you walk into the doctor's office and get the care, professional care that you need. I have personally chosen to not take medication. I have plenty of associates and friends who do take some sort of anxiety or depression medication, and it helps them a lot. If you're at a point where your anxiety is stifling you from being able to hold a job or doing day-to-day routine things, like you don't even want to brush your teeth or take a shower, just do basic things. And this is really real for a lot of people. It's not, I don't want you to feel like something is innately wrong with you. Like, this is real and people go through it. There's been days where I just don't want to be bothered. Now, I've found tactics to help me overcome that, but if those tactics don't work for you, then please do your research and find out if medication is the proper option for you. Seeking out a psychologist. Now, I know the immediate snapback for a lot of people when it's suggested that they see a psychologist that is outside of their financial reach to go to therapy. If you are working for a major corporation, even if you work at a Target or a Walmart, or you are working at a Microsoft, or you're working a white collar job, a lot of these corporations have stress relief programs for their employees where they will pay for some sort of therapy sessions. Now, when I was working part-time at Apple, I swindled my way into 12 sessions with a therapist, and Apple paid for it. And I was a part-time employee and they were not giving me any medical insurance. If you have a job, look into the benefits that your job offers for mental health. If you are a student, your school will definitely offer some sort of free therapy. If you live in an area where there is a medical school, the medical schools always have some sort of outreach for mental health in the neighborhood. Columbia University in New York City definitely does several different mental health programs, whether it's targeted at the LGBT community or suicide prevention or single mothers. They have done several different programs. So it's all about just looking at the resources that are available to you and kind of digging under the surface and not being so quick to say, oh no, that's not something that I have access to. Keeping a journal is like one of the best things. I do keep a journal. This is my current one. The bad part is, I think since starting this YouTube channel, I've journaled less because I started this one in 2009 and I still haven't filled up all the pages. But I also I tend to only write when I'm going through a really emotional, stressful period right now. But when I first moved to New York in my early 20s, I have all my journals from my entire 20s. And I journaled a lot more because I was just, all these new experiences. Life was kind of coming at me fast. And a lot was going on in my mind. And this provides a lot of clarity. It also allows you to see your own growth. And I think sometimes we kind of undermine how much we really have accomplished. And I do it all the time. I just did it yesterday. I'm in my feelings because companies keep telling me I don't have enough viewership for them to support Smart Brown Girls. Another story for another day. But, it does allow you to reflect and look at how far you've come, or also to notice patterns that you might do. Now, I tend to journal when I'm dating someone or I'm going through an emotional experience. I want to say with a fuck boy, but we're just going to call it with a young man. And, this last situation, I was so thrown by that. I went back through my journals and I can kind of pinpoint patterns and similar things that I do. And it just helped me deal with my anxiety, deal with my overthinking, deal with my feeling less than, and really kind of, pick myself up and move on. One of the other great things about keeping a journal is that it forces you to be clear and honest with yourself. When you put things into writing, you have to be very succinct, and it really forces you to acknowledge what it is you're going through, how you're really feeling, and expel it and get it out, especially for those of us who feel like we don't have friends or we don't have someone to talk to. Keeping a journal is a great step in dealing with your mental and emotional self. Very, very important. I know a lot of times when we are in deep depressions, we want to go eat all the junk food in our cabinets. I really had to talk myself out of getting some cream pies yesterday at the supermarket, because what happens is a lot of that stuff that you put into your body, you have to remember we're hormonal, chemically composed beings, right? And so when you're putting all this junk food and you're taking away the natural nutrients that your body needs, you're negating your chemical balance here, and it's going to make it even harder for you to deal with your anxiety and depression. I find eating a a diet full of leafy greens not only helps your edges to flourish, but also helps me with my mood. Occasionally, I drink green smoothies in the morning, and sometimes I will put maca root into it. It's an energy booster. Doing yoga and stretching, because that innately forces you to do breathing exercises, that will help amazingly. Some people like aromatherapy. It all seems rather like airy and superficial, right? But these things, they help. They do. They really do help. There is no hope for dealing with your mental health at the bottom of any bottle. So as much as I do enjoy a good glass of wine or two, I know that drinking wine is not going to help me get through, not going to help me improve my mental health. So I do not want you to become abusers of substances or sleep. You know, definitely try to put certain markers in your day-to-day life to help you, you know, not fall back into certain patterns. It's also about being very understanding and aware of how you are built. You know, if you know that certain situations cause you to go into a depression or have anxiety attacks, you know, do what you need to do to either avoid or confront those issues head on so that they aren't coming back up and manifesting in negative ways in your life. So that is all that I have. Let me know in the comments down below, what are some things that you have done to deal with your own anxiety or depression? Especially if you are someone who has taken medication, I would love to hear your experience, because I think a lot of people are scared to take medication because they feel like they're different or they're less than from anybody else. I'm sorry that the sun is setting and it's getting dark. Let me know in the comments down below. I think sharing your story is not only cathartic for you, but it helps other women and people in general, guys too. Have these conversations with your friends and your family members. You never know what someone is going through as well. And if people are dismissive of your mental health and your emotions and your feelings, then simply saying they don't know how to articulate that they don't have the mental space to care right now. Thanks for watching. Deuces! I mean, it's kind of crazy to have the last month of the year kind of